Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest Live Lounge event, where today we're going to be talking all about accommodation at Lincoln. My name's Ian Richards. I'm Assistant Director of Communications here at the university, and I'm delighted to be joined by my colleague, Darren Hill. Darren, do you want to briefly introduce yourself and explain a little bit about the format for today's event?
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. So as Ian said, actually I should introduce myself first. I am Darren. I'm the digital media manager here at the university, and I look after all sorts of streams. So you might have seen me pop up in our virtual open days or other live lounges. But I'm being let loose and allowed to host this one. So let's see what happens. But I was an alumni. I am an alumni actually of the university, and I stayed in our accommodation. I stayed in court. So throughout today's talk, I'm going to be talking about my experiences. I'm going to be talking to Marvin, who is another alumni of the university. We're going to be talking about our experiences of how we applied and how we got on here in our accommodation. We're also going to be talking to a residential warden, who are one of our brilliant residential wardens who are here to look after these students who are in our accommodation as well. And that could be via helping them with support, helping them if they're feeling homesick, and also putting on events and things. So we'll learn a little bit more about that. But we're going to go to Ben first, our accommodation manager. And Ben he knows everything. So make sure to ask questions. So we're here 45 minutes. We're going to talk all about accommodation. We're going to cover key facts, key information. We're also going to touch upon meeting new people for the first time and how that was for myself and Marvin. But just remember, please do submit your comments and questions in the comment sections wherever you're watching from, and we will do our best to answer as many as possible. And as I said, Ben knows everything about accommodation, so please do submit your questions. And I think with that, Ian, we could go to Ben.
Yeah, should we bring Ben in?
Hello, Ben. Hello, Ian. Hello, Darren. How are you?
Hi.
Very well, thank you. Are you okay?
Good.
Yes, I'm. And just to let you know, I've managed to get a seat in our new St. Mark's Student Accommodation Village.
Yeah.
So this is one of the brand new rooms, and we've tried to put some imaging around like students would in the storage up here. There's a bed behind me, double bed behind me, which will do a demonstration of the room. But St. Mark's Student Village is the latest in our portfolio of student accommodation. And for October entry of this year, September, October, it will have just over 1,000 bedrooms, all en suite, all in brand new, reasonably large apartments from 9 to 12 people, and literally a stone's throw away from the university. As we do the little tour for you when we get to that point, we might catch some of the university sites as we go through the windows, depending on how the light holds up. But this is St. Mark's.
That's brilliant, Ben. And we've given you the big billing as being the fountain of all knowledge on accommodation, Ben, and you've always been that. So just give us a little bit of a sense of kind of where St. Mark's is in context of the university, because you said it's a stone's throw away, and it really is.
Yeah. So if I give you my verbal tour of our options, so definitely on campus is our Lincoln Courts, our original student village. Holds just over 1,000 single study bedrooms, of which 900 are en suite. The majority of our rooms are en suite. That's right in the centre of campus. Just along from that is Signet Wharf. I can see Signet Wharf from here. In that sense that's on campus. It is easy to see. Along from that, as you walk along the Brayford Pool campus, you'll come to the Sarah Swift building and the David Chiddick building, and right next door to that is 179 High Street, only opened up this year. 301 bedrooms in there. Slightly further to the north is Viking House, 2 or 3 minutes walk off from Signet Wharf, and you will have just over 270 bedrooms in there, again, all en suite. Then we would come back across the road. For anybody who might have been to the university, we haven't been to an open day for an awful long while, have we? But if you've looked at all of the images of Lincoln, there's a flyover that spans the university, and you will then come across that. You can get up the steps from Signet Wharf, and right in front of you will be the Gateway, which is opposite the university car park, and McDonald's, I would have to say. Lots of students like it to be in there, close to McDonald's. And then exactly across that roundabout is St Mark's Student Village, literally 2 minutes walk away from the Isaac Newton building, the Art and Design building, probably 3 minutes walk away from the library, depending on which end that you're actually at. And then a little bit further down what we know as Tritton Road and next door to Morrison Supermarket. I'm doing this as a set of adverts, aren't I? I shouldn't do that. There are other supermarkets and fast food stores available. We have Valentine Court. And Valentine Court opened 2 years ago, has 469 ensuite bedrooms in a housing development style. So all of those things they're set in a courtyard setting, generally 6-bedroom houses, a little bit of car parking available there for mainly students and paramedic students on paramedic courses and nursing. So a lot of difference, a lot of challenges, ensuite, non-ensuite, studio rooms, all available, wide range of prices. That's the quick routine. I see we've got some questions now.
That's brilliant. I think we'll take a few questions if you're happy to, Ben, and then we'll pick your brains a little bit more. So I can see one of our guests tonight has said, "Hi, I'm in Valentine's Court. Sorry, in Valentine's Court. Where are the extra large rooms located? Are they in the
Yes, Valentine's Court has 7 13-bedroom houses. And this is because that offers us the opportunity to design in accessibility if anybody needed wheelchair access. So there is a larger kitchen, and the floor plate then allowed us to have larger rooms on that. So the extra large rooms are in the 13-bedroom houses. Now you might want to go back to how we're doing, because we've slightly changed the description. I think if you went back to the website right now, you might find these are deluxe rooms. And I know what that is, but these are just bigger rooms actually. But we've classified them under a name slightly different to large and extra large.
And I can see we've got a couple of our guests tonight with questions and comments about Signet Wharf. I think Emily Ann's got a question again, quite a specific question about sort of the specifications of the rooms. Ben, we'll test your knowledge again on this one, if you don't mind.
Well, St Mark's is designed on Signet Wharf. So when we do the show around here, so my guys are here and we're going to lift up the cameras and move around in a little while. What you see in here is effectively, we've moved on a little bit, but the basics of the design is exactly the same. So all ensuite rooms in Signet Wharf, majority are 10 or 12 bedroom apartments. There are a couple of smaller apartments, but there's only 2 of those 5-bedroom apartments. So the majority are 10s and 12s.
Great. And I can see there's a really good question here come through from C. Bradley on Facebook, I think. We were going to sort of pick up on this earlier. C is asking, how long does it take to get to campus from St Mark's Student Village? Now, I think in terms of your kind of verbal tour of accommodation around campus, I think for those of us who live or work in Lincoln, we've got a real sense of proximity and where things are located. But I think St Mark's, it's literally across the road, isn't it? And like a lot of our student accommodation, I think the vast majority of it is within 5 or 10 minutes walk maximum, and St Mark's certainly would fall within that category. Is that right, Ben?
Absolutely. So St Mark's there's a start and a finish to it. If you're in the closest blocks to the university, getting onto campus is a 2-minute task. If you're in the furthest part, it may be a 4-5-minute task. But that's literally to be at the Isaac Newton building or the library or Art and Design, LPAC, Student Union Engine Shed. You're 2-3 minutes away.
Brilliant.
I could probably vouch for that as well. As a former student, like all the accommodation is so close to campus. I was in Courts, so I was 5 minutes away from everything, and St Mark's as well. St Mark's is 5 minutes away from Morrison's for your big shop, McDonald's, the library, the rest of the campus. It's just across the road. It's crazy how close. I think it's the university is unique, isn't it? In our campuses, that it's a city centre university, but all the accommodation is so close together and everything's so close together. So I can definitely vouch for that.
And I mean, the best way I describe that is that we are a long campus instead of lots of university campus, which are like an oval. So we're a long campus and we've got accommodation, sometimes either side of our boundary, right in the middle of it. And that's where you get that feature that there is no public transport really needed to move from our accommodation to university or even into the city. But I'll leave our alumni to tell you all about the city because, you know, as you can see, that's not the kind of thing I do.
Yeah, I can see we've got a couple of sort of related questions about when applicants can apply for accommodation and when allocations take place. So I wondered whether, I'm just looking at, I think Ben Hamilton on Facebook has asked a question about allocations, and I know we've got some questions as well which come up quite a lot around at what stage when you're applying for your course, can you apply for accommodation at Lincoln as well? So Ben, are you okay to just pick those two aspects?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's do the accommodation application. When a student has made the university their firm choice, either at conditional or unconditional, they will be able to make an application for accommodation. If they have done that already, then there is a guarantee available that if you can make your application for accommodation by the 3rd of March, that means you really have to have made your confirmation with UCAS, generally on the 28th of February, then you will be guaranteed your first choice accommodation. We do have an underlying guarantee, which is that if you then apply for accommodation by the 1st of September, you will be guaranteed a hall style accommodation. Not necessarily a particular hall, but from our portfolio of accommodation that we're trying to describe to you, and that will be on the internet links that producer Ryan is putting through for us today.
And now, just before we come on to Ben's question, Ben, I think it's really just important that we sort of explain as well that we do have a really good supply of accommodation, don't we? Particularly with the new St Mark's development and 179 High Street. So I know, of course, applicants will feel this sort of pressure to get their sort of first choice accommodation, but we're quite confident, aren't we, that applicants will get, there'll be plenty of accommodation available, and the applicants will, for the most part, be able to get what they want.
Style-wise, definitely. So what we sometimes find is on the telephones, I wanted Signet Wharf, but you've given me 179 High Street. It's still an ensuite room. It's still in a location. It's still 5 minutes away from both your campus location and the city centre. If you were to get Valentine's, you've got a bit of a different thing, but you've got a very different aspect there. So lots of our accommodation, I would say that actually 90% of our accommodation is ensuite.
Yeah.
And that's a big important thing. But we have non-ensuite because we've also looking at budgets. So there's lots of families that will be working to a particular budget and be able to choose their accommodation through budget choices, as well as preferences in style and location is important for us to get there as well. Yeah. So with Ben's question, he's actually talked about something that we would have done last year, which is where we release all of our information at the point of the A-level results. Now, we have now, our admin team is actually looking at trying to bring that forward a little bit earlier. So we've been actually making some offers of accommodation, and some people have therefore accepted them. And once there is a bit of a volume there, they will be able to start to allocate rooms probably within the next 4 to 6 weeks, maybe. And so actual room allocations will be possibly going out to people at that point. But it is a fact that our admin team's just looking at it, and it's when you've got a volume of people, it's easier to make those allocations just to say why that happens and doesn't happen on a one-by-one basis.
Great.
So,
we've got a really good question from Ella on YouTube, and it's a question I know that comes up quite a lot, Ben, and I've heard you answer this question before. So Ella is asking, is there an option for friends to be in the same accommodation?
You mean you can't remember the answer?
I can, yeah.
Right. So when you get an offer of accommodation, Ella, to accept, one of the boxes while you're accepting the offer will be to note if you have what we would call a friend's request. The important thing is that your friend must do exactly the same in reverse, so that you both ask to stay with each other. If one person lists a number of people and we don't have a same match, then we wouldn't be able to confirm that. So it's useful if you can both apply at a similar time, but when you get your offer, that's when you can name an individual and give a few details. Date of birth and course would be very helpful to us.
And if we can just jump in at that point, if making friends at university is a worry, we do have another live lounge next Thursday at 4 p.m. And we're going to be talking all about our Friends for Life initiative and making friends at university. And I'll be back with colleague Mark, and also with SU representative as well, to talk about the societies and whatnot. But yeah, join us next week, Thursday at 4 p.m.
Shall we start to think about the tour, and then we'll pick up some more questions once we've had a run around this apartment?
I think that would be brilliant, Ben. Let's begin the tour.
Okay, just 1 second while we do some manoeuvring. So I'm just spinning back to the length of the room. I'll get the chair in. So here I am, nice long room, and you can see that I have actually a 3/4 bed. So just doing the working surface and the storage. You can see this bed head here is absolutely fantastic for storage. Students also decorate it, but the actual storage that we try to talk about is the student personalising their room. Of course, I've got to have a swan here because we're at the University of Lincoln. So a 3/4 bed, small double, is really what you should be thinking about. Double sheet fitted, that's another regular question that we get. So we'll just walk a little bit past. You've got great storage, bookshelves, and storage above there. Double wardrobe, full length mirror. This is St. Mark's, don't forget. And here's an ensuite bedroom example. Not bedroom, a bathroom. Not a great deal I can say about an ensuite bathroom, so we'll just let the pictures do the talking. But again, as you can see, students are personalising their own space, and that's what we want them to, that's what they would do, and we see that. It's absolutely great. We get lots of different opinions and lots of different statements in that sense. So here we go into the kitchen. As I said, this is happens to be for a 9-bedroom apartment. So you've got cupboards and storage cupboards, enough for everybody. 2 sinks in this, two sink basins, cookers, fridges, more cupboards, a worktop preparation surface. Somewhere out of these windows, we're hopefully going to get a glance of the university. And as I come round this work surface with more cupboards in it, I'm in the lounge. TV provided, dining surface. And just over there, you should be able to see the Lincoln Medical School. And we're really hopeful it might come into focus. That's
well, yeah, we can see it.
Brilliant.
Looks brilliant.
All that testing. So that's how close we are. We're next door to the Lincoln Medical School, effectively. So then we have a great lounge seating, which is what we call modular. So some students change the pattern to how they might decide to run their apartment, and that's okay, because we want you to work as a community. Your family will be the people you're going to talk, Darren, and with Marvin and Chandira, about all of the community things that we do at the university, and this is sort of where it starts. Supported by our residential warden team, which Chandira is going to pick up on that. We have 24-hour service at the university, so anytime there might be a challenge or a problem, we've got teams who are here to be able to assist. So St. Mark's Student Village, welcome. I hope you enjoyed that.
That's brilliant, Ben. Thanks so much.
Wow.
And I know as we did the tour, I realised we'd answered a couple of questions that have come up in the course of our live stream about ovens and these kind of practical considerations there. But I guess one question that you'll be asked a lot is when you're sort of planning to arrive in your accommodation, what do you need to bring and what's provided for you?
Well, there's a storage cupboard over here, which has in it, let me just do a quick run, because it's usually my QVC joke. So you've got vacuum cleaners, irons, ironing boards, mop and bucket, dustpan and brush, already included. Kettle, microwaves. People just need to bring their personal stuff. The catering equipment is for each person. Bring your own, enough to get yourself going. And then when you work as a group of 9 people, you actually have a lot of stuff. Morrison's is literally behind the television. So you're not necessarily, you can build your equipment up. So you want bedding, you want personal items, your academic things. I'm sure there'll be lots of entertainment items that are very quiet. Then your catering kit, but think about bringing equipment for you. And then when you get together as a group, then lots of students start to bring lots of other things in as a group.
Yeah, of course, as Darren's mentioned, we have our Friends for Life scheme and other schemes, so that those friendship groups based around accommodation can start forming and sort of planning before they arrive. We've just got a couple of minutes, Ben, and we've got a few questions. I wondered if we can just pick up on those before we move on. Again, related to what we were talking about, Abby Fenton on Facebook had a question about laundry facilities, and I'd imagine that's quite specific to which particular accommodation they're in. But can you just give us a bit of an overview of laundry facilities across our accommodation?
Right, so every accommodation has, except Valentine's Court, so I'm now talking about every accommodation other than Valentine's Court, has a card-operated laundrette on site, and therefore use a top-up card that you would purchase and add funds to it as you required. In St Mark's Student Village, there will be 2 laundrettes. In Lincoln Courts, there is 1 laundrette, one at 179 High Street, 1 at the Gateway, and 1 for Signet Wharf, 1 at Viking House. In Valentine Court, we've fitted washer dryers. Now, this was partly because we had quite an overt intention that there would be a lot of nursing applicants apply for this particular location because of the length of accommodation agreement fits the course. So at Valentine Court, it actually comes already supplied with a washer dryer, or 2 washer dryers in the 13-bedroom houses and 1 in the 6-bedroom houses.
That's brilliant, Ben. That leads us on really nicely to a question from Louisa on Facebook, specifically about nursing and midwifery students. So Louisa is asking, do you put nursing or midwifery students together, or do they get a choice?
No, you get a choice. It's absolutely open choice. When we first started supporting nursing courses, there was this concept of all nurses being in the same places, but actually they voted with their opinions, and they like to have choice too. So it's an open choice. The only thing I would say to a nursing applicant is just be cautious that you're picking a location that has the right length of accommodation agreement for your course. If I remember rightly, nursing courses is 45 weeks, and some of our standard options are 40 weeks. So that's the only thing that you need to pick on or check on. Other than that, you have a free choice. Yeah.
And I think you mentioned earlier on, Ben, that Valentine's Court tends to be quite popular with nursing students for that reason, and the car parking on site, etc.
There's a limited amount of car parking, and because it's limited, it's prioritised to nursing, and we include midwifery in nursing. I don't know if it's particularly different by department, but I include it as a nursing course, and paramedic science are prioritised for those car parking spaces first. There is an additional fee for them. If I remember rightly, I think it was £460 this year, and that gets you a permit for the full period.
That's brilliant. And Ben, before we move on, have you got any sort of final tips or advice for applicants who are in that process of choosing their accommodation? What would your sort of wise words be from years and years of advising students on what they need to be thinking about?
Don't rush. Make sure you've done your research. I appreciate we've got a deadline coming up with a guarantee, but I would still advocate people to do their research, any questions, ask the questions of us. Ryan's been putting it up underneath the scroll. I can see accommodation@lincoln.ac.uk, but our information site, accommodation.lincoln.ac.uk, has a lot more photographic images and information about each site. Do your research that you're looking to think of something that's suitable for you in terms of space, style and location, and that it's within your budget.
That's brilliant. Well, I can see we've still got the questions coming in, but I think unfortunately we're going to have to move on and have a chat with Marvin. But Ben, I really appreciate your time today and the tour, and I'm sure that if audience members who are watching today haven't quite managed to get their questions answered, you and the team, you're always there ready to help. And Ryan's flashed up the contact information there. So we'll say goodbye to you, Ben. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was brilliant. I told you that Ben knows everything about accommodation. He really, really does. But I think we have to move on, don't we? We need to bring Marvin in. Marvin, are you there? Hi, Marv. So we know who you are, Marvin, but introduce yourself. What did you study? Where did you stay? Tell us all about Marvin.
So I stayed in Court 2, Apartment 1. That's where it was. I studied business and management as well, and really, really enjoyed that.
Brilliant. I also studied in Court. But Court 10. So just a little bit further up. I actually have a friend who's actually watching or was watching earlier. Mark, he commented to say he was a Court 10 as well. So we met on the first day of university. There he is. We met on the first day. Still talk to each other now. So that just goes to show how, when you move in with new people, you could be moving in with people you're going to know for the rest of your life. So it's really exciting time. But so you stayed in Courts. I loved it, but why did you enjoy staying in Courts?
For me, Courts was how do I even explain how amazing it was? Because when my parents actually decided to first leave me there, I was wondering what were they thinking, really. It was so nerve-wracking when they drove off, and I kind of went in and it was all unknown, all new. And honestly, after just a few days of awkwardness, they became family. We went through all sorts of cooking experiments, through to studying and everything together, nights out. They were there for me night and day. And honestly, even now, we still, I Zoom called some of them over Christmas, and it was amazing. That's the one thing, I suppose, the friends I made from there was amazing. And Courts is because everyone is obviously like-minded, is amazing, and there's such a variety. It's just incredible.
Yeah, totally agree.
And Marvin, just for maybe those viewers who haven't been to our campus yet, just explain to us a little bit. We're talking about Courts. Just explain a little bit about where that is, because it is literally right in the heart of campus, isn't it? Yeah,
and that's to say that the town, the city, and the campus is they're the same. They're 5 minutes away. Everything is. I could rock out of bed 15 minutes to get myself ready, get myself there, pick Mackie's up on the way. Everything is so close, and so and Courts. Courts was literally right in the dead center of it all. So. But then all the other, nothing is more than 10 minutes away maximum. 5 minutes, and that's if you are leisurely strolling and taking in the swans.
So Courts is just next to Signet Wharf. It's right next to Bridge House as well, and it rests alongside the Brayford. And it is, like we've said, it is bang on campus. 5 minutes away, you're at the Minerva building. And the media building where I studied. So me and you, Marvin, probably were guilty of waking up 15 minutes before and grabbing a quick McDonald's coffee and taking it in. So it was brilliant. And as you've kind of said, Courts And Signet Wharf as well, and all the ones on campus, and like we said, all around. There's such just hives of students. It's such a good atmosphere, isn't it, when you're with other students and so close. I never had to take a bus anywhere to get to accommodation. I don't know if you ever
No,
got to...
I don't think there was a form of public transport at any point, other than the occasional, I suppose, lazy getting a taxi from Tesco's or Morrison's back home, but I could have walked in 15 minutes, but it's still carrying that home. I wasn't ready then, not ready, but yeah, like I said, everything is just brilliantly placed, and
Yeah, and in terms of facilities as well, I was thinking back to the discussions on the laundrette in particular, and that laundrette was brilliant because it was 24/7, and you see students in night and day doing their work, waiting for clothes, and it's had such a flexibility. But there's all sorts of facilities as well, like Wi-Fi ensuite. I think we had ensuites as well, didn't we? As well, but the St. Mark's with double beds, that's unreal. Like, that is brilliant to have that.
no, I'll give you that as well. And don't forget as well, there was the what do you call it, the AstroTurf, where we came together, and I can't, the amount of different places at the university to make friends and stuff was absolutely insane. So like AstroTurf football, there was the tennis court, there was the gym, there was also, I suppose, the Brayford Cinema, everything along there, just absolutely nearby. Yeah, and also the laundrettes. The amount of times you've gone to put in clothes, and there's people that you bump into that you won't get rid of for the rest of the year.
I should clarify, I didn't spend all my time in the laundrette. I did do other things as well. But that kind of leads me on to my next question, and that is making friends at university. We've got the next live lounge next week. We'll talk more about it. But when you do move in for the first time, probably everyone's a little bit nervous, aren't we? When we first moved, and everyone's in the same boat, so you don't need to worry. There are things we can do to help. But what would you recommend in terms of meeting your flatmates for the first time and trying to make friends with them?
First of all, you're meeting people from all walks of life, from all ends of the country and the world, essentially. So keep an open mind and kind of work on, the accents and everything. And I'd say, I don't know, when I was nervous when I first came in, because I wasn't, I didn't know what to expect. But after getting through, what we decided to call bread in the end, and all the different versions, and after talking through everything, you just kind of, I don't know, you make those kind of friends that you just can't forget about, and you just kind of open your world to everything that you could experience, they've experienced, and you've experienced, and
Yeah. If there is any questions, by the way, for Marvin as an alumni, maybe you're thinking about staying in courts or just have some general questions about advice on what to bring, then please put them in the comments. But we will be moving on to Shandani very soon, who's our residential warden. So if you've got any questions for her, please do put them in as well. But just one or two more things with you, Marv. Sorry, did you want to jump in?
I was forgetting a big part as well, societies. One of the things is everyone will be going through and doing all these different things, and societies were a big part. And there is other groups and things that you can do to make friends and stuff, but definitely nothing brought a number of people closer than societies.
Yeah, I'd also say in terms of accommodation, bring Uno, the card game. Other card games are available, but it is such a good game for just chilling with friends, and it's an icebreaker, isn't it? I think I heard that from one of the people from the SU as well, who also recommended it. So I think it's tried and tested. It's tried and tested method of
better than Monopoly, that's for sure.
Talking from experience there, Marvin.
Yeah, if you want to make friends, leave Monopoly. Yeah.
If you want to make enemies,
Bring your A game.
well, I'll just ask you one more thing, and it's if you were going back, if you were applying for accommodation again, what would you start to be doing now in terms of research? Because there's a lot of accommodation available, and it's quite a difficult decision.
I'd say kind of definitely think about your preferences, and yeah, like Ben said earlier, do your research, I suppose, because it will all kind of come together to cost things like ensuite. An ensuite for me in first year was godsend, and it just make life easier. But yeah, do your research. And I suppose, yeah, find those people on the, if you do want to live with a friend and all that, you get that all sorted as well. But find the people on Facebook and see, or whatever platform on, and see who you're going to be living with as well, potentially. But
yeah, it's really good advice. We do have our Friends for Life initiative where we do, for all subscribers, we do share the official Facebook groups for all accommodation as well, which is a really great way of helping people to get to know each other before they arrive. The accommodation website as well has lots of information and photos. And if there is any questions, rewind this video, or Ryan can put the contact information back up again, because you can feel free to contact the accommodation team and they will be able to answer any questions that you have. I just got a shout out for Holly. I can't wait to join the uni this year. Brilliant. Can't wait to see you, Holly. And I think that's it with you, Marvin. Thank you very much for joining us and telling us about your experience. Big up Court 10. Court 2. I think
Court 2 for the win.
Must have just missed each other. But yeah, we'll let you go. Thank you very much. Right. And I think we've got Chandani. Hi, Chandani. Before we pass on to Ian, because I think Ian's going to ask you a couple of questions, but please do submit your questions if you do have any. Chandani and the residential warden team, which you'll find out doing lots of amazing stuff in helping to support those in our accommodation team. So please do get involved and ask your questions.
Yeah. Well, Chandani, thanks so much for joining us. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what your role is and what a residential warden does? Because we've been talking about it throughout the live stream today, but do you want to just explain what the role is?
Yeah, sure. So the residential wardens are a group of mostly postgrad students, and we all kind of like, we're here basically just to support all the students at the university, whether they're new to the uni or they've been here for a few years, and whether they're living in uni accommodation or private. We're here to support them, signpost them, and just kind of be a friendly voice to chat to.
Brilliant. And what different types of support is that? Because obviously you're connected, aren't you? I think to obviously our accommodation team, but also our student service, student support team. So it's kind of the full kind of range of support networks that are out there. So what might that be?
So we can kind of signpost you to the SU and the advice centre at the SU, or to the student wellbeing, to student support, to student accommodation. We also host our own kind of like games nights and stuff if you need to relax, and it's just kind of anything you need to know about the university. You can like contact us on like Facebook or Instagram, Twitter. You can phone us and we can be like, right, here is what you need to do.
Yeah, there's a great sort of sense of kind of community, isn't there, among the residential wardens? I see that your sort of social media groups are really, really active, and those activities and all the kind of social things that go around look really sort of exciting. So, Chandani, can you tell us a little bit about your where you are at the moment and your sort of experience yourself as a student, and you're applying to Lincoln, and where you're living now?
Yeah, so I applied to Lincoln. It was like my first choice, and I just absolutely fell in love with the city. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it felt like home straight away. My first 2 accommodations I went private, but this year I'm staying in the Gateway, and it's my favourite accommodation out of all the ones I've stayed in. Everything is so close. All I need to do is like cross 2 roads and then I'm on campus. It's so convenient. I love it.
And close to McDonald's as well. McDonald's has had a mention a few times, and as we said, other restaurant outlets are available. But yeah, I think they could double the size of that McDonald's, and it would still be still be doing a good trade.
Yeah,
it's so true. I think everything is just so close. I think that's what we could summarize this and say everything is really close. But I would just ask, is it so? It's all the accommodation that you guys cover, your team covers. Is that right?
Yeah, so whether you're in like Uni of Lincoln accommodation or if you're private, you can still contact us. We're off limits to nobody, and we're active 6 till midnight. So we're kind of like the out of hours team. If you're just kind of struggling when there's no one else around, we're like, hi, we'll chat to you.
That's brilliant. I mean, it's great for parents as well. You know, sending their children off to university is probably the first time they've moved being away from home, and it's really nice to know that obviously there's the wellbeing team and support team and the SUs as well who will look after students. But there's also your team who are brilliant and really helping to make sure people are settled in. So I think it's fantastic. If anything like my experience, my first week of university, my phone broke, and my mum was like Liam Neeson in Taken, trying to find me and track me down. And but she eventually figured out that I was all right, and that it was just my phone. But I think it's so great knowing that there's people like yourself here to look after students. I think it's brilliant. But you do, so you help sort of people settle in, but if people are wanting sort of extra support, maybe they're feeling homesick, is that something you help students with as well?
Absolutely. So we've found that quite a few students just need somebody to talk to, and whether it's something kind of that's troubling you or whether you're just kind of a bit bored and in lockdown, it can be very easy to feel isolated. We're here and we'll just have a chat with you, or we'll kind of help you kind of like go through slightly more challenging things, and we'll be like, okay, you can go here if you need some more kind of trained help, I suppose, because we are just students. But yeah, we're just a friendly voice, a nice talk. We're here for if you're feeling homesick, if you're having, we can direct you if you're having tech troubles or cooking troubles, literally anything. Drop us a message and we can try and help.
I could have used you guys when I was with cooking trouble. Definitely, far too many ready meals.
Shantani, just as well as that signpost and that support network that's so important, tell us a bit more about the sort of social side as well, because I know that the residential wardens are a real kind of sort of key element of kind of getting those communities sort of forming and helping people have fun.
Yeah, so obviously when we were allowed to meet in person, we arranged, like, we had a weekly board games night, and we did different things at Christmas and at Halloween, organised events. But now we do online based things, so we'll put out challenges to, say, decorate your flat at Christmas, and the best decoration will win a prize. It's all about building the community within the flat. But then when lockdown lifts, it's about building the community within the university and helping people meet people from different accommodations, different courses, and everything like that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And I can see we're rapidly running out of time. I can't believe how quickly this has gone. So again, just sort of thinking back to when you were just starting out, if you had any sort of tips or advice for a current applicant who's looking to choose their accommodation, or maybe even they've chosen and they're getting ready to move in, what would your sort of top tips be if you had to have a sort of list of 3 things, 3 pearls of wisdom?
I would say don't be afraid of the larger flat numbers, because there's always going to be somebody that you get along with in those flats. Bring a picnic blanket, which is the best piece of best piece of advice I was given, and I love my picnic blanket now. And if you don't know anybody in Lincoln and there's an event on, but you can't find anyone to go with, just go to it on your own, and you'll meet people. Really push out of that comfort zone.
Yeah, I think as sort of Marvin was saying earlier, that particularly on campus at any sort of time of evening, and you sort of walk through campus and you see sort of sporting activities happening, and there's that sort of proximity of the accommodation to the campus and the rest of the city. You don't have to walk far to find sort of social activities happening and spot people as well. So yeah, that's one of the things that I certainly really sort of love about Lincoln, is that real sense of it is a community. It's sort of a village almost, isn't it? Well, Shandani, I really appreciate that your time today. That's been absolutely brilliant. So good to have you sort of sharing your experiences and talking about the role of residential wardens are really important to our accommodation offering here at Lincoln. So I think we're just about hitting time there, I think, Darren. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to thank all of our speakers and contributors today. And especially I really want to thank our audience and everyone who's asked questions in the chat. And apologies if we've not been able to answer your questions as they've been coming in today. But Ryan's been flashing up the contact details for our accommodation team. And by all means, do get back in touch by email or give them a call or have a look on our website, because lots and lots of those questions you can find information on our website, or do speak to Ben and the team. And I think what I'll do now is hand over to Darren, and I think you're going to give us a little sneak preview of what's coming next week on the Live Lounge.
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chandani and Ben, and to Marvin as well for joining us and for sharing all the information, and to all the viewers who got in touch, told us they were excited to join us and sent their questions. As Ian said, you can still ask us your questions. Have a look at the contact details below, and feel free to get in touch with Ben and his team. But next week we do have another live lounge. It's Thursday at 4 p.m. and it will be all about making friends at university. So we'll talk a little bit about making friends in your accommodation, but we'll also be talking to the Students' Union, and they'll be sharing their top tips and advice and how they support you making friends. And we'll talk about the 150 plus amounts of societies and groups and things like that can really help, and the Friends for Life initiative as well. So we'll cover all of those. So that's next Thursday, 4 p.m. You can watch it on our website or on Facebook. And then the week after that, we have a very special live lounge, and that is with Love Island's Dr. Alex George, and he's recently been announced as the Youth Mental Health Ambassador as well. And he's going to be joining us he'll be talking with our wellbeing team, and they'll be talking all about how obviously health and well-being is crucially important, how the university can support you whilst you're here as well. So that should be a really interesting talk. So please do join us for that. And more information will be in our Facebook page and website as we get closer to that. And then in general, next steps, so sort of sign up to Friends for Life if not already, to be prepared for next week, or just head on to our website or contact the accommodation team if you've got any further questions. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and we hope to see you very soon. Good night.